Hi, my name is Julie Burt, and I'm the founder of Coal Creek Physical Therapy, which I opened in December of 2001. I've been a practicing physical therapist committed to helping people feel better and live a life they love since January of 1998. Today, I'm partnering with Smart Commute and the Broomfield Chamber of Commerce in order to bring you all helpful and usable information about how to optimize your mental health and well-being while teleworking from home. Basically, the year 2020 and the COVID-19 pandemic changed the face of the workplace. Most of us were charged with working from home in the last year in order to slow the spread of the virus. And now that the pandemic is a little better under control, many companies are deciding to stay with this option because of the benefits to both the company and the individuals working from home. And while most people really enjoy working from home with the comfort, flexibility, and saving time and money on their commutes, there are some detrimental mental and emotional effects being documented, and I'd like to address these today. I'm going to share with you some really interesting findings of a couple of studies. Basically, these statistics were published by the Journal of Occupational and Environmental Medicine, FlexJobs, and the Gallup poll. So 45% of people teleworking report that their mental health has declined while working from home. 54% of these people, of people in general, really miss having a routine. 65% of people are working more hours at home than they used to work in the office. And 83% are stressed trying to cope with juggling work and home life in the same space. So these things are producing both depression and anxiety, and those are our markers of the mental health. And so what I'd like to do today is talk about a couple very practical suggestions on how to address these areas to prevent anxiety and depression showing up because of these things. And then I'd also like to share with you two very simple and powerful self-care techniques to both prevent and treat depression and prevent and treat anxiety. So I'm going to start with the practical suggestions. The first thing that I'd like people to do is really create home blocks, they call it. This means making your workspace in a different room if possible, different room than your bedroom, your relaxation space, your dining room. And so basically you open the door when you go to work, you go in, you do your work, and you close the door when you take your breaks, and definitely close the door when your workday's done. So a lot of us, including myself, don't live in a house that's big enough to have a whole room devoted to this. So what are we going to do then? What I would like to suggest doing is take some time in the morning to create your workspace. Mine's my dining room table. So setting up the computer, getting your supplies, your references, your phone, everything available at your disposal right in that area. And when you take your breaks to leave that area, maybe go to the kitchen, outdoors, your bedroom, to take your breaks and come back to your workspace when you're ready to work. At the end of the day, it's very important to actually pack up every single item, your computer, your supplies, your references, at least your work phone, and put it out of sight. Out of sight, out of mind allows you then to enjoy your home as your relaxation or activity space, as a place where you can enjoy your family or friends or do whatever it is you like to do in the evenings. The second thing I'd like to suggest, as simple as this may seem, is put a clock in your workspace. Decide before the day starts when you're going to clock into work, when you're going to take your breaks, and when you're going to clock out. We do this all the time when we go to the office. You arrive at 8, leave at 12, come back at 1, and leave at 5, or whatever it may be. Really practice doing this at home. And you could even set a timer on your phone. It's time to take your break. And if you do so, this will help you limit your workday to a workable time and not have it drift into your evenings or across your lunch break and make you overwhelmed or anxious or depressed by the end of the day. Finally, it's really important to create a to-do list. So if you create a weekly and daily to-do list, and let's say you work long projects and that it doesn't seem naturally possible, you can break down those long projects into weekly goals and even daily tasks to chip away at things. This will really help you organize your day and help you focus and stay on task, Should you get pulled away into some of your home duties unpredictably during the day, it will help refocus you quickly. And many, many studies have shown that even though it takes 15 minutes or so to create that to-do list in the morning, it literally saves an hour by the end of the day because it's keeping you organized and on task and productive throughout the day. Finally, the part that I like about to-do lists is that when you complete the task, you get to check it off. This gives you a little self-acknowledgement that you might not be getting working in your home space by yourself. You don't have your superior or colleagues telling you you're doing a good job, but you get to check those items off and feel really good about your production. And then you can really choose a successful time to end your day and begin your relaxation activities or social time after work is complete. All right, so those are the practical suggestions I have. And now I'd like to move into the 2 very simple and powerful self-care techniques that will help treat and prevent depression and anxiety. The first one is, just as I mentioned in the physical well-being video, you want to take a walk. Take a walk or participate in some sort of physical exercise for 30 minutes each day. Continuous aerobic exercise starts to release endorphins after 10 minutes of activity, as I mentioned in the physical wellness video. And so if you do something for 30 minutes, and the longer the better, you're going to get a 20-minute dose of these very powerful mood-elevating hormones. Research has shown that exercise is an effective but underused treatment for mild to even moderate depression. In addition, exercise outside can boost your D3 levels, which also elevates your mood. And because strong social support is also important for someone who's maybe suffering from mild to moderate depression, you can also boost this activity with walking with a friend, joining a group exercise class, or doing something with your partner after work. In order to share the next simple and powerful technique that really tends to help more with anxiety, I'd like to do a little nervous system education. We'll call it Nervous System Neuroanatomy 101. Basically, this is a schematic of our brain. And our brain works on one of 3 different channels at any given moment. Most of the time, we're either asleep or in the parasympathetic mode, or awake or in homeostasis. That's the fancy name for awake. If we are stressed or scared, our brain will switch the channel into the sympathetic mode that we nicknamed the fight or flight mode. The things that make us go into the fight or flight mode are either physical input, like a loud noise or pain, or emotions can also, even though they're in our mind, they feed into the brainstem or the amygdala where that switch is housed. And so physical input and or emotions can flip our switch into fight or flight. I don't know about you, but I think it's pretty common at work to possibly experience frustration, fear, worry, concern, or nervousness about something. All of these emotions, if they're intense enough, will flip our switch into fight or flight. When we're in the fight or flight response, the muscle tension pattern that occurs is this. We have a tight jaw, tight fists, our upper traps and SCM get tight, all of our paraspinals turn on, hip flexors, toe extensors, all turn on. And this is because the fight or flight response was designed to help us physically escape from danger, like running from a lion. So it makes it possible to punch somebody and run. The other things that happen is all the blood goes away from our gut into our extremities, also supporting the ability to punch somebody and run. Finally, the hormones coursing through our body include adrenaline and cortisol. And this allows us to have superhuman strength. Again, if we're in physical danger, it would allow you to lift a car off your child if you got in a car accident, or run as fast as you could from a predator. This is all well and good if you're having physical danger. The only problem is, most of the time when our switch is flipped into the sympathetic mode in the comfort of our own home, it's more because, we're nervous to run a Zoom meeting, we have to have a talk with our boss and we don't know what we're doing wrong, we're late for a deadline, or we have to pay bills, or we're having an argument with our husband, or whatever. And so these stressors flip our switch into fight or flight. However, it's not appropriate to punch somebody and run. In fact, it would be much more appropriate to keep our brain out of fight or flight. Because the adrenaline and cortisol, the side effect of that is that not only does your body race, but your mind races. So we would actually be better off staying out of fight or flight in order to handle workday stresses with a clear, calm, focused mind. So this technique is a technique that comes out of the associative awareness technique, something that we do for people to treat anxiety, insomnia, chronic pain. And it's just a quick and easy way to get your brain out of fight or flight, help your body feel relaxed, and get you focused on your workday. What it does is it takes physical input. So remember, we can change the physical input. If we make it safe physical input, it will flip our switch down into homeostasis. So what we do is we use the tricks of our muscles to create safe physical input. The way our muscles work is when we use our bicep, our tricep shuts down. This is called reciprocal inhibition. So to get rid of this tension pattern, all we have to do is the opposite. So I'm going to have you bite your tongue, turn your head, open your hands, curl your toes down, and then take 4 deep breaths in and out through your nose. We're going to practice this again while I describe something else. The other thing that's interesting about our muscles is they talk to our brain every 90 seconds, and they check in and tell our brain how they're doing with a reflex called the gamma gain. So if our muscles are in the fight or flight response, it tells our brain that we're ready to get ready to punch somebody and run, and that perpetuates the fight or flight response. If we do this position and we tell the brain that our muscles are relaxed, it's actually safe sensory input for the brain and will help to flip our switch off. Finally, what I like to add to the position with the breathing through your nose, which by the way is parasympathetic breathing. That's the kind of breathing that we do when we're asleep. So if we breathe through the nose, that shifts the sympathetic short breath to the parasympathetic long breath. We're going to add changing our emotions. We're going to think of something that makes you feel grateful, and that grateful emotion feeds into the amygdala and couples with the relaxed muscles to help flip our switch out of the sympathetic mode and into homeostasis. So now I'll take you through the whole thing. We curl your toes, open your palms, bite your tongue, turn your head, take 4 deep breaths in and out through your nose, and think of something that makes you feel really grateful. And 2 more breaths. Great. And the feeling should be an immediate sensation of all those muscles relaxing and a little more brain clarity because the switch flipped off. So this one, like I said, if you practice it throughout the day, 5, 6, 10, 12 times, this can prevent your switch from going into the fight or flight response. And then you can also use it acutely. Let's say, you're in the middle of a meeting and, you're suddenly really stressed out. I would turn off your camera, but you can do it real quick to get yourself out of fight or flight and focus on the rest of the meeting. So in conclusion, in order to stay mentally and emotionally well at home while teleworking, I would suggest 3 very practical things. 1 is set up your desk space very separate from your home space. If that means setting it up and taking it down every day, I would do that. Definitely clock in and clock out, just like you did in the office. And finally, make your to-do list nice and clear to keep yourself productive and acknowledge yourself at the end of the day for all of your successes. Then, the 2 self-care techniques that I would suggest are taking your daily walk for 30 minutes or your exercise for 30 minutes. If you can, do it with a friend, partner, or family member, and then you get that extra social boost, and for sure get the endorphin boost, which is an excellent mood elevator and painkiller. And then finally, I'm glad I got to share a reflexercise with you, and I hope this really helps keep your brain out of the fight or flight response throughout the day so that your anxiety stays low and you get to sleep well at night. And I really hope all these techniques and suggestions have been helpful so that you can stay emotionally and mentally very well while teleworking from home. And if you have any other questions about teleworking or commuting in the North Metro area, please contact Smart Commute directly.